An aperitif is a spirit or a liqueur that's designed to kind of set the stage for a wonderful day, afternoon, or evening. So the idea is that aperitivo is the opener, almost like the opening act for that social moment.
My name is Eric Bockley. I'm co-founder of Moné.
I'm Patrick Miller. I own and operate Faccia Brutto Spirits in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
My name is Rachel Petak. I make blackcurrant liqueur. My company is called Cassis. An aperitif is the beginning.
To me, aperitif is more of a moment. It's that moment like leading into golden hour where you're sitting with friends and sort of that biggest relief moment of the day.
To me, an aperitivo is a beverage that you consume before, at least in my culture, the Italian culture, before you go have a meal.
And there's also a physiological element. So the social element is we're getting together before a meal, we're enjoying time together and having a drink. The physiological element goes back historically to the ability of aperitifs to stimulate hunger.
It's Moné. I get a lot of people who ask me if it's from France, and I say no, it's a play on the word lemonade. So we used a design philosophy called a smile in the mind. It basically is witty design to be memorable and, you know, create something a little bit fun that's playing on the name, playing on itself, basically.
You have a lot of traditional European, French, Italian, Swiss aperitifs that are often quite bitter. There's a lot of herbs and botanicals in there. And they're great, but we wanted to create something more like American rooted, that American aperitif, a new American aperitif that really had that broad appeal.
On the label, there's only 3 elements. It's the 3 ingredients. It's a lemon, it's a grape, and then it's an agave, which is what we use as our sweetener. So super, super simple.
I mean, we're a New York founded company, New York base, so it's important for us to use what's around us first and foremost. Being able to drive out to the vineyard and do all the production here in New York is really important and was a key element for us. There is a nuance in different wine styles that definitely impact the flavor and taste. And we found that the grapes we had in the Finger Lakes were just the ideal match. And so the grapes themselves really are the perfect canvas for all the components of the aperitif. So it's a nice dry finished wine base with nice citrus attributes and aromatics.
There was one thing that I realized that kind of separates ours from, I think, others, at least as far as I know, ingredient-wise, and that's elderberries. These are dried berries off of a tree, and they give it a really just delicious, like red fruit kind of flavor profile, and they smell sort of like dark chocolate almost in this form. One other thing that we use that definitely sets us apart, I think, from most others is the use of a product called cola nut, which is the seed from a tree that's sort of relative to the cocoa tree or durian, and it has a cherry coke-like flavor profile to it, and it was used in the original cola, so hence the name. So we take the botanicals and put them in sort of porous cold brew coffee bags, cinch them up, and let them macerate in neutral grain spirit, which is a spirit that's distilled from corn that we purchased from upstate New York. It's a very high proof at about 190 proof, and we let that sit there for about a week to 3 weeks, depending on the product that we're making. And then filter it out, take the bags out, and then it's ready for the next step of the process. Yeah, so this is sort of our barrel setup and Solera aging system for the Amari that we make here at Faccia Brutto's. Aging just mellows things out, and considering the fact that this is a bitter liqueur. Aging softens a lot of the tannins, a lot of kind of the bitter volatile oils, and it just makes it taste better. I would say we make American-made Italian spirits from start to finish. It's a small company that is physically run by like 2 people, and it's made with care and attention. We source the botanicals and the neutral grain spirit. We macerate everything. We filter everything with our own 2 hands, sweeten it, bottle it, case it up, wrap the pallets. You know, it's a real, like, there's no part of this job that's outsourced. It's all done by us right here.
So we work with blackcurrants, which are sort of a niche agricultural resource here in the US. They were illegal to cultivate for most of the 20th century, so a lot of people are not familiar with them, but this is what our sweet little berries look like. They are grown about 15 minutes from where we are right now, so in Staatsburg to the south and in Livingston a little bit to the north. We take the fresh fruit that all gets harvested in July. It gets flash frozen, so we work with the fruit somewhat cold, bring it just a little bit closer to room temp before we put it into stainless steel tanks. So the process that we developed over a few years of me basically experimenting in my 3rd floor walk-up apartment in Brooklyn is something that's a little bit of a blend of winemaking and vermouth approaches. It's making a pretty unique and contemporary approach to the liqueur. And we also infuse it with these botanicals that are all meant to really accentuate what exists already in the fruit. Lemon verbena, one of my favorite herbs of all time. We use whole green cardamom, which kind of gives it this warmth and really fills out what could be, you know, a little bit linear. And then the bay leaf, also kind of same thing. And lemon and orange rind, which really kind of complements the natural acidity that exists in the fruit. If people know blackcurrants at all, they know them to be pretty tart. There's not a ton of sugar in the fruit itself. And I think that's something not to shy away from and correct for, but something to really like lean into and just properly balance. We do everything here in-house, and that includes bottling. So once it goes into bottle, we hand dip in our white wax pots, and then we label it on this little AP 365. Wipe them down, case them, and put them onto pallets to ship them to various places for y'all to enjoy. So I work with a very small team of women, and there are 4 of us, and we do everything day in, day out, from planting things on this property to working with the fruit to like doing the heavy lifting to blending tanks to pressing. It's us. It's like a little, it's a little cult.
My name is Shannon Mustafer. I'm a Brooklyn-based spirit educator, cocktail consultant, and the author of Tiki, Modern Tropical Cocktails. I like to call myself a spiritual advisor and cocktail guru. What I like about aperitif is that they come in at a lower ABV. They won't get you to a place where you have to kind of cut it short. They kind of help you keep it going. There's a bit of a double-edged sword to the popularity of the Aperol spritz, right? So that's most people's experience with aperitif, and there's an idea that they're all bitter, and that's not necessarily the case. So the nice thing about using an aperitif in a cocktail is that it can kind of do double duty depending on what direction you'd like to go in. One of the struggles with creating a balanced cocktail is sweet and sour. Sweet and sour is traditionally or typically achieved via using a syrup and some sort of citrus. But with an aperitif, you can get elements of sweets via the inherent quality of the base of that liquid, and you can also get acidity that may come from the ingredients that are infused in that liquid.
For me, I feel why I like using aperitifs personally in cocktails is just the challenge of working with those ingredients because they're very nuanced, they're very complex, and you want those ingredients to shine. And then at certain times, depending on what you're using, they can be a little bit overbearing. So just to find that right balance, you know, I love just the science and geekiness of just making that work.
I think in America, at least, people just need more exposure to it. You know, when you visit Europe, especially along the Mediterranean coast, Mexico, Latin America, you see very robust traditions around aperitif that allows people to socialize and meet at virtually any hour of the day. It's just a really friendly and approachable category within beverage that, more than anything that I'm aware of, is geared towards socializing and connecting. And I think that's something that we all love.
I grew up in Los Angeles in an Italian family that loved food. When I was old enough, loved wine, loved having drinks. And that sort of informed my decision to go to cooking school and to kind of get into the world of hospitality. And that then led me into the world of spirits, because being a line cook, you develop habits that, you know, for better or worse, introduce you to things. And one of the things that I was introduced to were Italian Amari. I've only been doing this for 3.5 years professionally. I mean, I'm learning something new every single week. And I think that that was something that I'd come to the point in my career as a cook where after I'd been doing that for like 15, 16 years, I'd kind of like seen it all for the most part. And so I figured I'd throw my hat in the ring and just use the knowledge that I had of making flavors delicious to create something and hopefully that people would like. When you approach creating a beverage, it's at the same time completely different and very similar to cooking food in a restaurant or at home. You know, you're ideally looking for balance and you're looking for something that's well made. And one thing that we do here, I think that we do really well, is balance. And another thing that we do that I don't think anyone else does is put a little salt in our spirits, because salt makes everything taste better.
I lived in Madrid, Spain for 2.5 years, and I don't think I thought of it as aperitif culture per se when I was living there, but vermouth is such a big part of how you drink and how you socialize, you know, versus Americans who typically think of a cocktail hour, which is starting, you know, pretty strong and starting off heavy. So it's just kind of an entree and like a nice way to ease into whatever you're doing next. I remembered the flavor of black currants from when I was farming in France, and black currants came to me like a song kind of gets stuck in your head. I had this flavor dream that I was chasing, and I just kept messing around with things and honing in on what I was imagining making. Like, you know, when you think about what you want to make for dinner or something that, you know, a flavor that you miss.
Before I got into the beverage industry, I was a bioengineer. And so I spent over a decade working for large corporations. For me, what opened the gates was the craft beer industry. And the craft beer industry has certainly exploded now, and it's amazing. But when I look back at it, like the brewmasters back in the day, they were like my heroes. They were like rock and roll stars to me. And that's kind of where like formulation and innovation struck a chord with me. As an exploratory scientist in the bioengineering field, I could now be like an exploratory beverage maker and really a fun industry. I love to watch people drink Moné or any beverage we've created in the past, and really see it evoke kind of a response, a feeling, maybe a smile or something like that. But it's part of a moment. There's a familial element for me where doing what I do every day brings a connection to me and my father, brings a connection to me in Switzerland, and the culture, our heritage. My dad is very traditional when he drinks, before dinner, during dinner, but also after dinner. So in Swiss culture, the aperitif and the digestif is very much a fundamental part of mealtime or evening, time with friends, with family, going into your meal and then finishing out with an after-dinner drink. I remember the first time I got drunk. I mean, this isn't for whatever, but the first time I got drunk was with him drinking Williams. It's really nice at this point in my life, as my dad's getting older, to really, tie that all together.
So, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a lesson, but it's something that I've always lived by, is that every drink matters, right? I'm not gonna, if I'm only gonna have a few drinks, or even if I'm gonna have a lot of drinks, I wanna drink the drinks that I enjoy. I don't wanna waste drinks on things like shots that get me too drunk from 0 to 60. I wanna enjoy the process of drinking, the different flavors, the profiles, the combinations of ingredients.
The reason why I think it's awesome that this is happening in New York is you have to think about the history of a lot of these brands. They've been around for centuries, right? And now we're just putting our foot in the ground, and maybe 200 years from now, 50 years from now, instead of being number 2, maybe we'll be the number 1, you know what I mean?
I love this category right now with how it's emerging in New York, and all the other local brands. I hope that with everyone creating this moment for aperitif, it helps all of the aperitifs then succeed,
So I think there's this way that tying spirits into the land, into soil health, into the plants that are growing around us only further supports that holistic vision and way of making something sustainably. And the things that I find so compelling and exciting about what's happening in New York right now is how many people are making non-conforming spirits related to agriculture in the state.
There's a variety of climates that you can find in this state. So there's a lot of flexibility for a producer or creator of aperitif to source various herbs and botanicals and express their vision, not only of their product, but of New York itself.
It's a brand new day.